Hello, I'm Cadet Cardona with Air Force ROTC Detachment 505 here at New Mexico State University, and I'll be going over an ORI, otherwise known as an open ranks inspection. Starting an ORI. An ORI starts with your flight falling in with your uniforms looking sharp. The flight commander will start by sizing up the flight with the verbiage: if you are taller than the cadet in front of you, tap them on the shoulder and move forward. This will be performed in column formation, inverted line formation, and column formation again. Any exceptions will be said before saying this verbiage for the cadets you don't want moving from their spot in the flight, such as the guidon bearer, element leaders, and deputy flight commander.
Left. Haste. With the exception of the guidon bearer, element leaders, and deputy flight commander. If you are taller than the cadet in front of you, tap them on the shoulder and move forward.
Here is an up-close view of how this movement is performed. Count off. The next step is count off, and will start by the flight commander moving to the corner of the flight as shown.
Count. Huff.
The verbiage count off will be given, and each
Count.
rank, one right
Huff.
after the other, will count off, turning their head 45 degrees to the right, not including the guidon bearer.
Left. Haste.
The flight commander will then move one pace to the right of the guidon bearer and 6 paces past the flight in one continuous motion. Center himself on the flight and call,
Parade. Haste.
and stand at the position of parade rest, awaiting the inspector. The arrival of the inspector. When the inspector gets 6 paces from the flight commander, the flight commander will snap to the position of attention, turn his head 45 degrees to call the flight to attention, and greet the inspector.
Good morning, sir. Yankee flight.
The inspector will now instruct the flight commander to get the flight ready for inspection and perform the following. Open ranks march. The way this command is performed is done differently by each element. Depending on the number of elements, the number of steps increases by 1 from back to front. The backmost element will stay still. The element in front will take 1 step, and the frontmost element will take 2 steps. If there are more elements, just add 1 more step than the element behind. Open ranks is followed immediately with a dress right dress. For dress right dress, if there is a cadet to your right, you will turn your head 45 degrees. If there is a cadet to your left, you will put your left arm up, pointed outwards with palms facing down. The first element will establish the normal interval, and the individuals in every other element will line up with the cadets in front of them. This may cause fingertips to extend past or not reach shoulders. If the arm is too long, place the extended hand behind the shoulder. If the arm is too short, leave the arm extended outwards to the individual. The flight commander will then march to the right of the element leaders and face down the line of each element, taking side steps left and right to ensure the element is straight. Using the cadet numbers during count-off. If there is an out-of-line cadet, the verbiage cadet number forward or cadet number back will be used. The cadet will shuffle forward or backward depending on the command. Once the flight commander is done, the flight commander will march 1 pace to the right and 3 paces past the guidon bearer, left face, and call ready front. The flight commander will take 1 pace forward and right face, salute and say blank, flight is ready for inspection. The flight commander will be inspected, and at that moment the deputy flight commander will move to a position 1 pace forward and to the right of the guidon bearer, facing down the line with something to record discrepancies. The inspector will finish up the inspection of the flight commander and tell the flight commander to accompany him or her on the inspection of the flight. The flight commander will left face and call all elements except the first to parade rest. Take 1 pace forward, then left face, march to 2 paces in front of the first element. the duck walk. A duck walk is performed by swaying left, then right, swinging your left foot over your right, planting your foot, then bringing your right foot back to heels together at 45 degrees apart. The inspector will go in front of the guidon bearer and inspect the guidon bearer and use the duck walk to move to the next cadet. When the inspector is done with the cadet at the end of the element, one more duck walk will be performed, and the inspector will walk around the back of the element, followed by the deputy, then the flight commander, inspecting the backs of the cadets. When the inspector approaches the next element leader, the element leader will call his or her element to attention. Their head will be turned 45 degrees to the left when calling this. Once the inspector gets in front of the element leader, the deputy will march around the inspector to go to the correct spot and perform the same procedures, inspecting the next elements. Once the inspector gets in the peripheral view of the last element leader that was inspected, the element leader will call the element to parade rest. This process is repeated until all elements are inspected. Once the inspector is done inspecting the backs of the cadets in the last element, the inspector will turn around and inspect the deputy. The flight commander will pose to the left and face the inspector. The deputy will hand the notes to the flight commander to take notes of the deputy's uniform. Once the inspector is done, the inspector will tell the deputy to post, and the inspector will walk off back to where the flight commander greeted him. The flight commander is then broken off and will return to the front. As the flight commander walks by the last element leader, the element leader will call the element to parade arrest, so that the entire flight is at parade rest. The flight commander will get to a position of 3 paces past the guidon bearer, left face, and call the flight to attention. Take 1 pace forward, then face the inspector to receive any final comments. Once the comments are done, the flight commander will render a greeting, effectively ending the inspection. The flight commander will then get to a commanding position to call close ranks march.
Close ranks. March.
Close ranks. The command close ranks is opposite of open ranks, as instead of the last element not moving, it is the first element that doesn't move, and the elements behind taking the necessary steps to return to a normal interval, depending on the distance from the first element.
Yankee flight. We had lint on uniform, strings on uniform, and loose-fitting clothing.
Congratulations, you have completed an ORI.
Dismissed.
Thanks for following along, and make sure to share this with your detachments at home. See you later.